Okay, so Dr. Umar is back again with another smoke, and I think this one is directed towards Akon. It is titled Akon Dissing African Americans is a Shame. Let's get to it.
Akon, how you feel about Akon? Because I know you feel a type of way about the comments he be making about African Americans, and he's also, building a city right now. What you think about that?
First of all, I love my brother Akon. The Locked Up song he did with Styles P, one of my favorite.
Okay, I'm just going to say something. If somebody starts by saying this, know they're going to be smoking you hard. You know I love you. You know I appreciate the things you do for me, but that's where it comes. Let's take it back.
What about Akon? Because I know you feel a type of way about the comments he be making about African Americans, and he's also, building a city right now. What you think about that?
First of all, I love my brother Akon. The Locked Up song he did with Styles P, one of my favorite hip hop R&B songs. I'm disappointed in Akon's comments about American Africans. I thought Akon was a Pan-Africanist, and to constantly hear him occasionally make derogatory comments about American Africans when you have benefited from our art form. It's still African. But hip hop was birthed on American soil. For you to have benefited yourself from hip hop and American African R&B and to speak negatively about us at the same time, I think it's a shame. And at a time where African people around the world need to be coming together as one. Akon is my brother. Yes, he's Senegalese, but he's my brother. My ancestors might have came out of Gorée Island, Senegal. He's my brother. So for me, it's a disservice whenever I see Africans, American Africans, continental Africans, Caribbean Africans, Canadian Africans, Brazilian Africans, Africans in Europe speak negatively about other Africans. We are one people. United we stand, divided.
I think the first problem is also the categorization. When you're continental, Canadian African, African American, like just leave it at African, yeah? That way you just know like you can't speak against your kind because you're not separated by any wording. Everybody's African. I think categorization is also a problem.
We fall. Now, Akon City. I believe Akon means well. I do. But if the reports are true that the Chinese are financing Akon City to a tune of $1 billion, then that's not Akon City. That's
Chinese City.
Senegalese Chinatown is what it is. That is Senegalese Chinatown, because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. The hand that pays is the hand that rules. So if the Chinese are financing Akon's city, then that is not Akon City. It is nothing more than a neo-colonialist front for the Chinese to make inroads into Western Africa and through Senegal in particular as a means of recolonizing the entire continent. If that is Chinese money, I cannot support the project. That's what I'm hoping it's not true. I'm hoping it's not true. But from what I'm hearing, the Chinese are fronting the $1 billion for Akon.
But does Akon have $1 billion though? And if he doesn't, where should he take it from? Would Senegal give him? Where would Dr. Umar recommend Akon gets the money from? I mean, I'm not criticizing Dr. Umar. I'm just saying, like, where would he suggest he gets the money from?
Chinese are the new colonialists on the block. They are engaged in a three-way tug of war. Chinese, Russians, and Americans for who are going to dominate the soil of Africa. Remember, whoever controls Africa rules the world, because Africa has the largest deposits of non-renewable resources in the world. Gas, oil, gold, silver, manganese, coltan. Do you realize of the dozen or so minerals necessary to create an atomic bomb, half of them are in Africa? There is no nuclear age without Africa. There is no solar age without Africa. There is no technological age without Africa. China knows that. And see, the reason China wants to possess herself of Africa is, number one, China is overpopulated. I've been there twice to speak to the Africans. China is overpopulated, bro. You think rush hour in New York is something? You think rush hour in DC? Go to China and sit in that rush hour. It's overpopulated.
I mean, they are 20% of the world.
2 billion people. They need somewhere to drop off the excess Chinese. Africa has undeveloped land all over the continent. It's the perfect place for China to send all of the people she needs to get rid of. Number two, China is the #1 producer of cheap goods, cheap food, cheap clothes, cheap utensils, cheap devices, cheap soap, anything cheap, China makes it. They are the Walmart of the planet. China has a surplus of cheap goods. Where can I go and sell all these cheap goods that cost less than $1 so I can recoup all my money from the surplus I have? Africa. Most of the world lives off of less than $1 a day. The world. So America will never be able to sabotage China because America is king of capitalism, expensive goods. China is the king of communism, cheap goods. And so Africa is the perfect place for the Chinese to dump all their unsold cheap goods off. Also, where can you go to create a manufacturing sector where you can pay people pennies in order to work for you? Africa. Everything China needs, Africa has. And the last thing is the damn resources. China want that gold. China want them diamonds. China want that gas. China wants that oil. And I'm disappointed in our African leaders, not all of them, but some of them. And most recently, I spoke by the invitation of the Ethiopian government for African Liberation Day this past May. And my disappointment with some African leaders is we keep on playing pocket pool with these different neo-colonizers. Who's going to treat me the best? The Americans? Who's going to treat me the best? The Russians?
That's true.
Who's going to treat me the best? The Chinese? None of them are going to treat you well
Right.
because they are all colonizers.
And also, even without using the context of them being colonizers, don't worry, I'm going to take the video back. But without using the context of them being colonizers, you have to understand that these people are of a different nationality and their first interest is to their people, just like your first interest should be to your people. So it doesn't even, they don't have to be bad people. They don't have to be colonizers or evil leaders, but their interest is to their own people first. I don't know why African leaders do not understand this. Yeah, this is easy to understand.
Because they are all colonizers. Africa has no friends. The only thing Africa has is a lot of resources that other people don't want to pay for. And will kill to get. So right now we got a situation in the Sahel in Africa where you have Niger,
Burkina Faso, Guinea,
Mali, Guinea. These are all former French colonies, Francophone countries.
Right.
They kicked the France out. There's been revolutions, and now we got what appears to be authentic black leadership in Africa. I hope they are sincere.
I hope so too.
I hope they are not FBI agents. I hope these coups are not a CIA stunt, because we really need these brothers to keep good on their promise to revolutionize the political reality in Africa, because our people are tired of being at the bottom. The richest people in the world, the first people in the world, have no business being the poorest people in the world. And so I'm hoping these brothers are sincere, because if they are, this is the much needed continental-wide revolution that Africa so desperately needs to have.
Dr. Umar. Yeah. Now, I always say when I see his videos, I don't agree with everything he says. But a lot of the things he says, I do agree. And I like the fact that he says the things that I do and do not agree. Because you don't have to agree with everything everybody says. But the fact that he's willing to express it and have the discussion, I do appreciate that. And yeah, I agree with him. But I think one of the major reasons why Africans speak against each other is the categorization. You know, this one is like, I'm not African, I'm Afro this country. Or somebody will say, I'm African American, or I'm Canadian African. A lot of categorization, which just, you know, gives a separation in your mind, gives a bias, like, oh, so if this person is Canadian African, then they're not African, or they're not African American. It's just wild, man. At the end of the day, what matters? African, yeah? It is what it is. Anyways, let me know what you think about that video. If there's anything you want to add, correct, critique, you know, you want to share your own opinion, feel free to do so in the comment section. Nobody's criticizing anybody. We just want to have a conversation, so feel free to talk to us as well. That being said, is the end of this video. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.